All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're on a mission to demystify one of those really tricky parts of German, talking about the past. We're going to focus on those verbs of motion and state, the ones that use sein as their helper verb.
So have you ever been there? You're trying to say something simple like I went or we flew in German, and your brain just freezes. Yeah, you are definitely not alone. It is a classic sticking point, but we're about to make it a whole lot clearer.
I want you to think of this as our little code-breaking session. We're going to break down these irregular verbs into some simple, memorable patterns. And by the end of this, you'll see it's way less about random memorization and more about just recognizing the system behind it all. Okay, so first up, we've got a group I like to call the shapeshifters. And really, that's exactly what they are. These are verbs where the main vowel completely changes its sound when you pop it into the past tense. These shifts aren't random. They're actually echoes from the deep history of the language. Once you spot the patterns, they get so much easier to predict.
In our first pattern, it's a super common one. You're going to see the German I sound, like an ice, transform into a long E sound, kind of like in the word cheese.
Just look at this table. It lays it out so clearly. You take steigen, which means to climb. That I sound flips to E, so you get ist gestiegen. The exact same thing happens with bleiben, to stay. It becomes ist geblieben. See that? I to E, simple as that.
All right, ready for the next shapeshifter pattern? This time, we're watching the vowel E open up into an A sound.
And here we go with two classic verbs you use all the time. Gehen, to go, becomes ist gegangen. And rennen, to run, becomes ist gerannt. In both cases, that A sound just shifts right over to an A. And for our last pattern in the shapeshifter group, we've got a cool one. We're looking at both the short A sounds and the long E sounds, and they both transform into an O sound in the past.
Check it out. Schwimmen, with that short I, becomes ist geschwommen, and fliegen, with its long E sound, becomes ist geflogen. So short I or long E doesn't matter. They both land on O. Once you see that pattern, it really starts to stick. Kinda neat, right?
All right, so we've got the main patterns down, but now let's talk about the unusual suspects. These are a couple of absolutely essential verbs that either describe a change of state or, well, they're just plain exceptions. They play by their own rules, but they're so important you've just got to learn them.
Now with these two, honestly, you just got to memorize them. They're that important. Werden, to become, has its vowel change from E to O, becoming ist geworden. And the big one, the most fundamental verb of all, sein, to be, does this really unique shift and becomes ist gewesen. These are absolute must-knows, trust me.
Okay, are you getting tired of all these vowel changes? Because I have some fantastic news for you. Not every verb is out there trying to trick you. Let's look at a much friendlier group, the straightforward verbs.
You heard me. There's a whole bunch of really common motion verbs that, get this, don't change their vowel at all. This is where you can just take a breath. The logic is refreshingly simple.
I mean, just look at how beautifully simple this is. Fahren becomes gefahren. Kommen becomes gekommen. Laufen becomes gelaufen. Even a separable verb like aufstehen becomes aufgestanden. The core vowel sound stays exactly the same. It's a huge relief, isn't it?
Okay, so you've learned the different verb forms. That's great, but now for the most important part, actually using them, right? Let's put all these pieces together and start building some proper German sentences. The structure is key, but it's also very consistent.
And the rule here is actually super simple. It's just two steps. Step 1, your helping verb, the right form of sein, like bin, ist, or sind, it always goes in the second position in the sentence. And step 2, that past participle we've just been learning, like gegangen or geflogen, it gets kicked all the way to the very end. Let's look at an example. Wir sind nach Goa geflogen. See, wir is position 1, so our helping verb sind is right there in position 2. And where's geflogen? All the way at the end. A perfect example of that structure.
Let's do another one. Ich bin spät gekommen. Same deal. Bin is in that second slot, right after ich, and gekommen, our participle from that easy, straightforward group, is at the end. The rule just holds up, every single time. So, what about questions? It's pretty much the same idea, just a tiny switch. For a simple yes or no question, the conjugated verb just moves up to position 1, so you get bist du wirklich dort gewesen? See, bist is first, but our participle, gewesen, is still hanging out right at the very end. And there you have it.
You've basically just cracked the code. We've looked at the shapeshifters with their vowel changes, those key exceptions you just have to know, and the wonderfully simple, straightforward verbs. That's the whole system right there, the whole shebang.
So you have the tools now. You can talk about where you've been, how you got there, all of it. The only real question left is, where are you going to go? Because now you actually have the grammar to tell everyone all about it.